April 5th.
We know that, but what is the day?
I think we're at 1190.
78 plus 7 is what?
Well, it was 83.
Sorry, we don't know.
Okay, we can go on.
Online. Good start.
Nobody watches the beginning anymore. Who can get
Does
to?
anybody watch?
Of course I do.
Yeah, I know.
So what's the date? May 5th.
April,
April 4th.
April 5th.
Okay. Nothing coming in.
You just got a slow connection.
Yeah, very slow connection, and it says it's day 118, so I don't think that's correct. Well, anyway, let's get started. Somebody can chime in later with the date.
All right, welcome everybody. It is April 5th, 2024. We're at the Northern Neck January 6th Vigil, and we're going to get started as usual with the prayer and Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, as always, please watch over and give strength to the men that are and the women that are working their way through the criminal justice system for the events of January 6th, their families, their loved ones, especially their children, and help and guide them and give them the strength and the courage to get through these days and come out the other side as we know that you will. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move the flag. Do the Lord's work.
Nice. Okay, this is on.
Somebody had a good week.
So I started the newsletter for next month.
James Grant had a good week.
James Grant had a really good week.
And he shattered their 100% record.
Nice. I think you still got to use this.
So to make sure it gets out, Maurice, to the camera, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, but Grant still has to go for his sentencing on June 13th.
He's got sentencing and appeals yet to happen, and he's already beaten about half of it.
Try again.
Hello, can you hear me now? A little bit more. There we go. I think that's good.
I think there's too much.
Much electronics here.
Let's turn this off.
Hello, life is it's just the two of them. It's not that.
Okay. So we're good. What you got? You want to talk about?
No.
I was just glad to see James Grant got acquitted on nearly half of his charges. He got convicted on a couple few, one of which was the 1512. And he's got one that's a 111B that he fully expects that will be overturned. Why? Because it was determined even in his trial that prior knowledge of the vice president being in the building had to be there in order for a conviction, and they couldn't prove that, and yet still he got a conviction. So that should get overturned. So that's 2 down. And ultimately, because, like I said, 1512, the Supreme Court's going to hear that in a week or so. So he's looking pretty good. And it's really good because he's setting the precedence, the pathway for others to do a lot of the same stuff. So So this is important.
I'm unclear on what happened this week with him. He wasn't in trial. His trial was a while ago. Was his sentence?
John sent an article.
Yeah, I didn't get to read up. I'm behind. James will probably call us. We'll talk to him this evening.
That would be awesome.
Let me try this one, Grace.
It's on. It's been on. All right. The other thing is Rebecca Lavrins. We talked about her last time. This is the 71 or 2-year-old great grandmother from Colorado. Her jury trial ended, and she was found guilty on all 4 of her misdemeanor charges. Remember, she was in the Capitol building, came in from the east entrance, and spent 10 minutes inside the Capitol. Didn't do anything, assault anyone, break anything, take anything. Just was walking around and praying. So it took a long time for the jury to deliberate. Her thinking at one point, I saw an interview she gave. The thinking was that perhaps maybe she had somebody who was, fighting for her on that, but it didn't prevail. And again, she was convicted on all 4 counts: entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly and disruptive conduct in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly conduct in a Capitol building, parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building. Now, again, you think about what happened here. The Capitol building is open to the public. Any day you can go walk right up to the Capitol, go inside the Capitol building. But on that particular day, for some reason, they decided to close it and not tell everybody about that. And in fact, he even invited folks in, and that's what happens when you take the bait. Those that are setting you up.
But actually, in a way,
You talking? That's breaking ground too, Maurice.
Yes.
Because she is the oldest female, and again, when you look at the crimes that she's accused of, they're nothing. And average Joe citizen can relate to that. They can relate to that very much. The other ones where they were potentially in doing assault modes, James Grant, other people who were at the front lines, pushing on fences, pushing on cops, that's harder to define. This lady was a tourist.
She happened to be there to see the event. She was an observer, not necessarily a participant. And, you're right. They didn't tell anybody that the Capitol was closed, including the Capitol Police that were letting people in. Because truly, if the Capitol Police were doing their jobs and they knew it was closed, they wouldn't be letting people in now, would they?
that's exactly right. Exactly right.
So it's a setup. And we've had this discussion a million times if we've had it twice. It's disgusting, and there will be justice. There will be justice.
I agree. So here's some other news that I picked up. It's dated April 3rd. Breitbart. FBI arrests couple 3 years later for being inside the Capitol on January 6th for 12 minutes. The FBI arrested a Loudoun County, Virginia couple early Thursday morning, that's this week, April 3rd, for entering the Capitol building 3 years ago on January 6, 2021, according to a recent interview of the couple. Thomas Kasparek and his wife Daphne Kasparek told America First with Sebastian Gorka in an exclusive interview on Monday that the FBI came to their home around 6 a.m. in cars with flashing lights, pounded on the door, and yelled for them to come out with their hands up. Thomas said he was up, but that Daphne was still sound asleep. He said he woke her up gently and told her to call his friend, Richard Ryan, who was a co-plaintiff in a case related to an election integrity case they filed in November 2022 against Loudoun County's Electoral Board and the Board of Supervisors based on concerns that the electric voting machines were made in China. The case was dismissed January 6, 2023, according to LoudounNow.com.
Can you say selective persecution? Let's just silence and punish our political enemies.
We don't live in a police state.
No, we
Maurice.
don't. We don't.
Uh-huh.
That's ridiculous.
All right, a little more. Thomas, meanwhile, went to open the door. They opened the door and stuck an M4 in my face. Anybody doesn't know what an M4 is, that's a fully automatic assault rifle, right? They were in full gear, he told Gorka, about 6 guys at the door with their guns drawn.
Yeah. Dog pile.
Another common one, he said he asked for a warrant, but they told him they would show it to him when they got downtown.
That's a no, you'll show it to me now.
Yeah, I would insist on that too. He said they put him in hand and ankle cuffs with chains and walked him down his driveway and down the street. The FBI also did the same to Daphne. Never, ever had anything like this happened, she said. They were then taken downtown to the FBI field office, fingerprinted, swabbed for DNA, photographed, and then interrogated, they said. Thomas said it was apparent that the FBI had been building a case against them for entering the Capitol 3 years ago. They were then taken to the federal courthouse and handed over to the U.S. Marshals, who questioned them again separately, he said. There's a little bit more if you want to say anything.
That's it.
It's the same sort, look at Reed Christensen.
Yeah, exactly.
But they put him in bed, in a jail, in a
For
cell
7 years.
Put him in a jail over.
They put Reed Christensen in a cell overnight, essentially naked. They gave him a smock, basically something like a hospital smock, and they gave him an extra one because it was cold and he slept on a mat on the floor.
Then he shows up at the DC gulag and they deprive him of his medications. And, you know.
That was when he was chipped out. And
Right.
it was, yeah.
Right. And they didn't care. You know, they didn't care if he was going to die on their watch or anything. It's inhuman. And it's on purpose. And if they can do it to these people, they can do it to anybody.
I want you to talk about the New York thing too, when you have a moment, you know, with your concerns about with the New York or Pennsylvania. So let me finish this up on this one. Thomas said they were charged with 4 misdemeanors: entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly or disruptive conduct in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly and disruptive conduct in a Capitol building, and demonstrating or picketing in any Capitol building. Same thing as Ms. Lavren's from Colorado.
I just got to ask a question of Ms. Lavren's. What kind of threat can a 70-year-old woman present to anybody?
Well, she could give him a heck of a stern talking to. I know that. She's a powerful woman. I don't think physically they were in any danger. Just like with Ashley Babbitt, they weren't in any danger. So Thomas said they were inside the Capitol building for 12 minutes. Gorka responded in the interview, "This is a Gestapo. The political police have arrived in America. Thomas and Daphne Kasparik are the proof. Thank you, Sebastian Gorka."
Good evening.
Keep it frosty.
Isn't that his thing?
Yeah.
Frosty.
Oh, that
so
guy.
thirsty. Hello there, folks. Grow With Us, we know who that is? Yeah, you know, we didn't remember the day today. If you know it, please just put it in the chat. That'd be great.
Last week.
I usually carry them around a couple of them, or look at the last one and didn't have it.
My parents were visiting, and they're gone, and my house is the cleanest it's ever been. I mean, I cleaned it.
God for mom.
I cleaned it for them. I mean, thank God for moms coming to your house, because it'll make you clean your house.
Yeah, so mine's coming tomorrow.
All right.
She's not cleaning. I
Yeah.
have to find
I have a birthday that apparently from her I cannot keep secret.
When's your birthday?
The 9th.
All right, cool.
So, By the way, for those of you history buffs, April 9th was the day that Lee surrendered to Grant. Just pointing it out.
All right, April 9th. Cool. All right, I went on the website of NPR, and just again, I tell everybody, look up NPR J6, and they do an update every Friday evening about 5:30. Tonight it was a little later. How many J6 arrests have the FBI made? Total number of people at this point, we now have crossed the 1350 mark. We're at 1,353. I want to read the new ones. I think there were 6 last week. So Friday to Friday, you can stay right on top of it. You can learn exactly who the new J6ers are. What I was thinking about driving in here, we do need to understand, are they being detained? Are they, in overnight? Are they released on recognizance? We need to learn that, but we still want to get word to these people that they are now part of a network,
Right.
that we can help them in some way. So go ahead.
That reminds me that we also need to figure out if there's any that are being stored down the hill.
Yeah, I think you're right. We talked about that. We got to get back down the hill. All right. So last week, arrests were Luke Almond, like the nut. Luke Almond. Luke Almond was arrested March 28th, 2024 in Houston, Texas. His charges, I'm not going to repeat them. It's the same 4, okay, that we talked about before. Entering and demonstrating, etc. Leah Ava Green. So Leah Ava Green from Texas. Leah Green, also known as Leah Grippo, was charged by information on April 1, 2024 and arrested on April 5th, 2024 in Lubbock, Texas. Only 2 charges: disorderly conduct in a Capitol building or grounds, parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol grounds. So she didn't get charged with the entering and remaining, so she must have been in there just a tiny amount of time. And she didn't have the parading one either, so she must have, a lot of people got pushed in the crowd.
Yes,
So,
there's video of that.
yeah, absolutely. So she could have been one of those. So just speculating, of course. Andrew Miller from Ohio. Andrew Miller was arrested April 2nd in Wilmot, Ohio. Same 4 charges. Charles Lee Roy Mozingo III. Hey, Charles Lee Roy Mozingo III, I love your name. That is cool. That's a lot of cool names in your
There's
name.
royalty in there somewhere.
38 years old from Washington, Charles Mozingo was arrested April 4th in Chehalis, Washington. Same 4 charges. Zach, I think it's Rash, but it might be, I think it's Rash. Zach Rash, my page cut off. 24 years old from Payson, Utah. Zach Rash is accused of lunging at police officers with a stun gun in the tunnel on the Lower West Terrace. He was arrested April 2nd. And so
He's probably one of the ones that was trying to clear a way for Roseanne Boyd.
yeah, who knows? Disorderly conduct, act of physical violence, something with certain officers and inflicting civil disorder, assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers and inflicting bodily harm. All right, so he's got a more serious charge. I would guarantee you that fellow is in jail right now, I would bet. And then the other new one, 2 more new ones. Timothy Rowbottom, 45 years old from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, just down the road from where I grew up. Timothy Rowbottom was arrested April 1 in Harrisburg. Same 4 charges. Yep, same 4. And finally, Steve Saxiones, 46 years old from Cedar Hill, Texas. He was arrested on April 3rd. Obstruction of law enforcement during civil disorder, assault on a federal officer, knowingly entering, remaining, and so on, active physical violence in the grounds, another one. He's probably sitting in jail somewhere. Hopefully not here at Northern Neck. We got to get back down the hill, don't we, Maurice?
So, a little disturbing that there's actually a law that precludes picketing and other activities at the Capitol. It just seems that such a law in and of itself would be somewhat unconstitutional. I mean, after all, if you're gonna demand redress from your government, where else would you do it than the Capitol? And holding signs in the absence of megaphones seems to be appropriate, and yet there's a law against it. I'm at a loss here. It seems that law is unconstitutional.
That's a really good point.
I think we should certainly look that up. Often these have, yes,
Code
they
numbers,
do.
yeah.
Well, they have usually a link in this section called source, and when you click on that, you'll see the charging documents, which are very fascinating and important to read. James Grant's were, I don't know, a dozen pictures in there, and so on with descriptions of what happened with him. So they're quite detailed, and of course quite Slanted would be a nice way of putting it, yeah.
Yes, been there, done that. But on court documents in general, believe it or not, folks, some of the best reading is the syllabus of Supreme Court decisions. You go in there, they give you the background, they give you detailed definitions and descriptions of their thought processes and why they think the way they do. It's incredible. It's a hugely educational experience to just read the syllabi of these Supreme Court decisions. And I encourage anybody that's not so motivated to find a way to get motivated and go read them. There's a lot of them, so you might want to be selective about which ones you read, but doing so is a good exercise.
And that's a great segue into upcoming Supreme Court session on April 16th, which is a Tuesday at 10 a.m., Fisher v. United States. And this is the case of the 1512C charge that made it all the way up to the Supreme Court. And as everybody knows, if that gets overturned, it has a significant impact on the sentencing that almost 300 of the J6ers have received already.
I think we're at 315 now.
So, yeah.
It's interesting, though, that they're still applying 1512 to new detainees. I think somebody's trying to hedge their bets.
Interesting point. That's probably good for a long time. It's brand new. The battery probably lasts for 12 or 16 hours. But
A couple of days.
I just thought I was going to turn it off and see if the ringing in my ear would stop. You hear it?
No.
I'm worried about that.
Smart meters.
I think we live in a sea of soup of electronic radiation. We don't even realize how much we live in, especially with these things are
You know,
wonderful.
that's a good discussion. Cheryl and I were talking about it last night on our way home, and I guess this is a good one to talk about here.
Yeah.
We're talking about smart meters. Meters for your electric panel, meters for your gas, meters for your water. And they, in order to communicate with the mothership, so to speak, they have their own method of communicating over radio frequencies. And the frustration that I was expressing to Cheryl on the way home last night was that, you know, over I don't know, 6 or 7 decades, the world has been adding over time, one little bit at a time, more and more RF into our environment. And as Tom has pointed out many times, nobody really knows how much it takes to cause any kind of harm. And some of these devices actually emit radiation just because of the way they're manufactured. So there's a bigger concern about what we don't know, and with so much of it in our environment coming from so many different directions, it's, all I can say is it's frustrating to not know, and we let that happen. You know, there was, you know, they told us last night there was this big SCC hearing, and I guarantee you, none of us were there.
What? Last night?
But Dominion was at the SCC hearing.
Last night.
Not last night's meeting. The SCC hearing where the Dominion plan was approved to go forward.
Okay, right. So Doris was there, and I don't know if Doris is tuning in, but I want to, that's a great point. So she was at the SCC hearing and spoke.
Yeah, that's what she was saying. She was probably a lone soldier. The point is that the public doesn't really go after these kinds of meetings. Even though if you go to the SCC, the FCC, they publish that there's a public hearing coming all the time.
We need to look it up because the one
So Doris has said there's another hearing on Wednesday coming up next week. So
Yeah.
we got to look at what that is. But anyway, I'm wearing this shirt in Doris's honor tonight. So Doris is the lead person on the committee under the Virginia Medical Freedom Alliance that's on top of wireless radiation issues. And so we had a very successful meeting at Northumberland County last night. This is the back of the shirt. VAMFA, Virginia Medical Freedom Alliance.org. And so shout out to you, Doris, for your phenomenal performance driving all the way from Chesterfield out to the Northern Neck. And of course, everybody else who attended and spoke at that meeting. I think it was a meeting that was held to have Dominion come in and talk about smart meters. And it was a joint session between the Board of Supervisors and
The Planning Commission and the Economic Development Committee. And I really gotta kind of tip my hat to the Board of Supervisors because truly, there is nothing that they can do about it but hold a public hearing and let the people speak. And to me, that's how America works.
Yeah.
You know, but they're kind of got their hands tied. There's nothing they can do other than make this kind of thing public, which is what they just did.
well, and they can pass our resolution, which we've given them. So we're hoping that resolution will get some traction. So,
But it won't result in any changes.
well, have you read the resolution?
I've read it, but they can't, this is a Dillon's rule state. And the state has already said you can't opt out unless you've got issues.
There are other parts of the state that are opted out, though we know that. So then we should be able to opt out here as well.
That would be nice. I'm doubtful.
Okay.
I'm just, but
Well, I
still, that
agree.
doesn't take away from what the Board of Supervisors did.
That you're absolutely right, Board of Supervisors. Thank you all for all the excellent questions you asked, and everybody that did, and from also the Planning and Development Committee, and which Maurice is on the Planning and Development Committee. So
Economic Development one.
thank you. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just frustrating, and the reason I bring up the hands tied is because I was reading at the state website that Virginia is one of 4 states that is making it really hard for people to opt out. That's the whole point. Is the state level is probably where the fight needs to go.
Well, yeah. Okay. I agree.
That maybe our phones would have hung up by now.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. Or press 0 to refuse this call. Hang up. Your current balance is $19.42. This call is from a corrections facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hey, Chris.
What's going on, Patriots? How you guys doing?
All right. All right.
Cheryl, Maurice, and Tom.
All right. How's everyone's week been so far?
Busy.
Busy, but good.
Very productive.
Busy. You know, I hope I get to enjoy the freedom and what comes with freedom, which is the hectic life soon enough. You know, the news has been okay. I mean, that's our busy life, right? We had visits today. An excellent visit. I forget the guy's name. I don't feel like crap about that guy's name. We went back and forth for an hour, solid. I have to say, so Taylor Jonatakis, I know he's called in. I know he's going to talk about this. The DC jail did a pretty shitty thing. Excuse my French, but so he has 3 kids and a wife.
5
Well, you're
kids.
only allowed 3 guests, right? So I don't know if he had it set up with someone else, or if he originally put all 4 people down, or what happened. He'll tell you the story. But basically, Tate, great guy that he is, said, "Hey, listen, I'll take on one of your people as my people, and we'll stay for a 2-hour visit," right? I don't know if it was before or after, whatever. He'll talk about it. But basically, the DC jail, since the 24-page or 24-page and 27-page and everything else has been brought up to the courts, they didn't care about it before. And then the certified letter got sent, and then it was talked about in a packed courtroom. You know, and then the marshals came. The marshals came actually before the court came. So there was things done before that. So it was the certified letters that did it, but then it was the certified letter sent from the jail that then said, "Hey, by the way, there's a certified letter that was sent by Cheryl Johnson. Thank you," and that was transcribed by my request. As soon as that took place, things started to change here. With that, retaliation started to happen. So not like we have it bad here, right? I'm not saying right now we have it bad, but what we have it bad with the basic needs of first thing, we should have other things that we don't have right now. And that we should have had from the beginning, and not just us, but everyone, right? And then things that the jail could have given us, and it was just because of pure laziness or lack of care that they didn't give us. But now that we've really brought it out and we've started to say these things, they've started to retaliate. So anyway, Taylor had his 3 kids in front of him, but then they separated Tate, who's a great guy, right? Everyone loves Tate. Tate took on Taylor's wife in the business. Said, "Hey, listen, I have, I'll do the 2-hour visit with the wife, whatever. Well, okay, cool. So what did they do? They separated Tate and Taylor instead of putting them next to each other, so that basically Taylor just had to look to the right, at a 10-degree angle and talk to his wife. And obviously Tate would have been in this whole conversation. Tate's a great guy talking to kids and talking to his wife and this and that. But what did they do? They separated them on complete opposite sides of the room.
Wow.
Just a shitty thing to do. I'm sorry about my French and whatever, but I can't just a just a very, very, I won't even curse, it's just an ugly, ugly thing to do.
That is ugly. That's awful.
It's
That's just
just,
meanness.
it's just an ugly thing to do.
Mean.
And it's not right.
They do it on purpose.
Yeah, they do.
And so if anyone listening is still like, oh, well, what's the big deal, whatever, his wife and kids came down, that's horrible enough. No. His wife and kids flew in from Washington State.
Right.
Across the country,
Across the country.
3,100 miles.
Literally, yeah. I mean, literally, besides being from Southern California, the furthest away, or Hawaii or Alaska, but in the 50 or in the 48 continental, besides being from Southern California, and that might be a little bit further, how the crow flies, I don't even know if it is. It's literally the opposite side of America. And you're going to do this to this guy? And this guy doesn't do anything to the jail. He doesn't file grievances. Like, if they did it to me, I could understand. Like, obviously, this is retaliation about the grievances and this and that, whatever. But he doesn't do that. He literally says, like, hey, listen, I'm pro se, I need to do X, Y, and Z. How do I do this? I don't want this to turn into a grievance thing. My whole way of fighting my case is not to argue with you guys, is not to write pieces of paperwork on you guys. In my case, it's no, screw you. You don't do you object my case or obstruct my case, I'm gonna write a paperwork on it. Oh, okay, well, if the court-appointed lawyer says this, okay, I'm going to say this. Well, if the jail says this, or jail denies me this, I'm going to write paperwork on it. This paperwork is king. In my line of work, if you don't have it paid, then paperwork is king. I once gave away $33,000 extra on a job. It was like a $5 million job or something. But I gave away $33,000 extra. And it was because it wasn't signed. I swore I would never do that again. Now, we did fine on the job and everything else, but, it is what it is. After that, I was told paperwork is king. So it was just a shitty thing to do. I'm back to Gerson, but it was a horrible thing to do to Taylor and his family. If he won't talk about it, I don't know if he will or will not. He just sat down next to me, and I figured I beat him to the punch because my other thing that I was going to talk about, because listen, at least I'm here, right? And I'm gonna stab the, I'm gonna poke the dragon in the eye. I'm going to post, sorry, I was sign languaging with another inmate. I'm going to poke the dragon in the eye and say, hey, look over here. Protect as many of the guys as possible, right? Because I'm already on this shit, so why not? I mean, I'm already at the top. Where else am I going to go, right? So, with that being said, what else happened? JFK, right? Or not JFK, RFK.
RFK Jr.
Big thing with him just today. Did you guys hear that?
No.
He said he originally dismissed us because the third party person voting for him said that, Julian Assange and this and that, and then the Jan 6 rioters that, they need to be treated justly. And he said, oh, no, I disavow. Well, then he turned around and he said, oh, no, if I'm president, I'm definitely going to look at their treatment. Well, the treatment is, how about this? And anyone can send him an email or a letter or on my behalf, I don't care. I've been kept without access to my attorney without access to discovery, without access, moved through multiple different facilities. I've moved 10 times in 3 years. And then I was forced to, basically I was told by what my lawyers told me, I was told by the judge, either assignment or we're going to trial. And my lawyers weren't ready to go to trial, and they didn't want to step up and say, hey, we're not ready. But he knew that we weren't ready. So now I finally have a lawyer with some kahunas behind her, you know. She's got to be related to, you know, I don't know, whether it be Grant or, you know, I mean, she's got to have some bloodline behind her because Joan of Arc, yeah. I mean, she's,
Okay. Yeah.
she doesn't care. And it's a shame that it took me 3 years to get there, you know, to find her.
Well, that's cool. That's great news. That's great news.
Unbelievable. Every time I'm like, hey, you're not going to be happy that I did this, but, and I say something and she's like, good. And I'm like, all right.
Excellent.
She goes, I'm a fighter, you know?
Yeah.
You've got the Aaron Brockovich of attorneys.
That's it. Well, listen, let's talk about the Aaron Brockovich. I don't know if you've seen the movie. Aaron Brockovich, she did have heart, but she... I won't call her Aaron Brockovich. I'll call her Joan of Arc. How about that? But anyway, listen, I'm already over my time, guys. Listen, I started late. That's on me. We got a whole thing to do. Who's up next? TJ is up next. He's going to be dialing in right now. Thank you guys so much for giving us a voice. The Give Send Go is GiveSendGo.com/persecuted patriot, all one word. It's Give Send Go persecuted patriot. Also go to persecutedpatriot.com. Donations are needed for lawyer bills. Like I said, I just got a new one, and we're trying to get everything flip-flopped. But Tom, go ahead and take this call if you're getting one right now. You should be. Guys, thank you so much for giving us a voice. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you so much for everything. Everyone else helping me out with my case, thank you so much. All right? I love you guys. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you for using Global. Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is $18.10. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello, Northern Neck friends. How are you doing?
Hey Taylor, Cheryl here, and Maurice and Tom.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent.
Is that a 4?
Yeah, how are you doing? What?
Is it a four day? Is it a 4?
Say that again?
Is it a 4?
That was a 4. Yeah, it's definitely. Today was a 5. My family came together.
All
Today
right.
was a 5.
All right. All right.
Today could be better than a 4. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'm still in jail, and
Right.
anyways, no, it's great. I just wanted to give you guys a chance. If you had any questions for me, feel free to ask them. I had a pretty eventful week this week. I did get sentenced to 87 months. That's always fun.
Terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So sorry about that. I didn't get to see that one or really talk to anybody who was there. Can you talk about any of the details? Anything that was surprising to you, or what I found in the sentencings I've sat in, a lot of it, like probably the first half hour to an hour is, both sides arguing over or bantering over whether to include certain enhancements and so on. Was there anything interesting in all of that?
No, I didn't. My entire trial, I never made an argument. Essentially some people might look at it and say I didn't put up a defense at all. So I just allowed the prosecution to do whatever they were going to do, and I'd get up and I'd say, you know, I accept. How can we settle this matter today, Judge? How can we settle this matter today, Judge? What controversies left to adjudicate? I'd accept all the charges, and whatnot. So didn't really, didn't really count. I mean, one of the things I said very often was I don't argue the facts, law, jurisdiction, or venue. And so when it came time to sentencing, the prosecution got up. They were asking for 109 months. The guidelines, because of the appellate court, had dropped from 70 to 87. The judge ultimately gave me 87 months, essentially hinging around the idea that I wasn't remorseful for my actions, which is, whatever. I am remorseful for my actions, but when I asked the cops specifically who were there, the hurt, harm, injury, or threat, said no.
Right.
Do you accept sincere, heartfelt apology for my role in the events that day? They said yes. One of them referred to it as water under the bridge. The other one saying that, thank you very much, gave me a thumbs up on the way out. So, as far as being remorseful for my actions, I was very remorseful, but, what happened happened, and here we are. So, they didn't give me a script to read. They didn't tell me what remorseful meant. They made a lot to do about my political speech, which I know that they say they didn't, but, they included some of the very things that I've read out here on the visual, or on these visuals to you guys that I've written and shared as evidence of my lack of remorse and, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it was fine. It wasn't fully unexpected. My co-defendants previously had gotten 6 and 8 years. I basically landed in the middle at 7, which was a max sentence with the adjusted guidelines. So I don't really hold any ill will or any, issues with them. They did their job. I know that I didn't offer any counter argument. We live in an adversarial system where both sides are expected to lie. This is how it works. The prosecution lies on the government's behalf and the victim's behalf. They present the evidence in such a way to convince a jury or a judge of their verdict, and the defense attorney is going to lie on his client's behalf. And this is the whole, when the attorney's lips are moving, they're lying. They're going to withhold evidence. A defense attorney would withhold evidence that would cause conviction, and a prosecutor would withhold evidence that would cause an exoneration. I chose to remain silent because I'm of the belief that you agree with your adversary quickly, while on the way with him, lest he take you to the judge, who takes you to the jailer, who leaves you in jail until the debt is paid in full. That comes from the Sermon on the Mount. And so I just lived it out. I mean, it's just really that simple. I asked the judge in my opening, when I spoke to him on Wednesday, I said, Judge, the record reflect I repent of my sins. And he said yes. And then we just kind of went from there. And then he had a prepared statement that he was going to read, and he did. And so, at the end he said, one thing I did get from it was at the end he said, Mr. John Attackis, you and I had a unique relationship, or a special relationship. And he said, I understand what you're doing, and I don't remember if he said I respect or admire it, but something to that effect. And essentially what that was that I stood on my rights. And, I was going to, stand on my rights, and people fought and died so we can have rights like things to a speedy trial, and we can have rights like things to confront your accuser, specifically to be able to, apologize.
Right.
And I did, I did what I felt was right.
How's your family holding
it's all public record. It's out there. They're good. We did this together. This was something that we, had contemplated. This was always the direction it was going to go. In one of my writings, I said the definition of a railroad is a track with a predetermined destination. The American justice system is in many ways just that. Once you get the charges, 98.2% conviction rate, you're going to the train station.
Right.
So,
right.
For people to say that somehow critical of the government, no, I'm just making an observation. They publish these stats. They're proud of them.
Right.
So, except for when it looks condemning, right? Because the Soviet Union had like an 80% conviction rate, so go figure.
Right. Right.
Anyway, what do you want me to say? We have 31, 1 out of 31 adults in America is under the custody of the Department of Corrections, and 1 out of 28 children has a parent that's incarcerated. We have a railroading of the system, and whether or not you think justice is being done or not, I'm sure on the same day that I was being sentenced to 7 years plus in jail, I'm sure there was somebody else in there with another charge that the average American would consider egregious that got some type of very much more lenient deal, right? So it is what it is, and that's that. I mean, I hope I'm not offending the listeners, not the audience that's listening, but, the listeners that listen to our phone calls. But it's just kind of the way the system's set up, and I didn't buck against it. Like I said, I didn't argue the facts, law, jurisdiction, or me. So
Right.
doesn't really much change. Doesn't really much change at all.
Right. Well, I appreciate your attitude about it, and I appreciate the fact that you did stand up for your rights, and also that you are a knowledgeable, wise person. Obviously, I mean, just you've demonstrated that on every one of these calls. You always have meaningful, thoughtful things to say or read. So I'm proud to know you, and I'm proud to say that proud to know that you feel good about exactly what happened and have that kind of perspective. So yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely want to be clear. I'm not one of those people that says things like, January 6th was the greatest day of my life, or I'm proud of what I did that day. No, I'm not. I'm very disappointed in some of the words I chose to use. I could sit and go all day long about, let's just use one example. At one point I said to the bullhorn, we're down to the nuclear option. I know that what I meant when I said we're down to the nuclear option is what John Eastman was talking about. It was sending the votes back to the legislature. That was the nuclear option for the vote counting. The nuclear option did not mean drop a suitcase nuke.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But obviously, without context around that statement, without having lived through that time period, that statement might be taken out of context as some kind of horrible rhetoric. And we see this as very common in politics. Donald Trump recently said, if you don't reelect me, it's going to be a bloodbath. ...
Right.
He's talking, he should have caged it as it's going to be an economic bloodbath. I'm talking about the auto industry and shipping jobs to Mexico, right? That would have been an appropriate way, but instead he just said, if you have shipping these jobs to Mexico, I'll tell you what, if you don't reelect me, it's going to be a bloodbath. The way the jobs are being moved, or however he said it.
Yep.
And it's like, well, so there are lots of things I said like that were out of context for the moment, and I'm remorseful of those things. Those weren't necessarily decrying; those were used as supporting that I went there to do violence, et cetera, et cetera. But I had a podcast that I recorded the day I got back to Seattle before I'd watched very much news or media. That was my true and honest account of the event. The prosecution chose not to use that. Viktor Frankl in his book, what's it called? Man's Search for Meaning. He says, to attempt a methodical presentation of a subject is very difficult, and psychology requires a certain scientific detachment. Because a man who makes his observation while he himself is a prisoner possesses the necessary detachment. Such detachment is granted to the outsider, but he is too far removed to make any statements of real value. Only the man on the inside knows. So in my process of going through this, not only have I seen how the jail and the prison system works, I've tried to remain a little bit cognizant of what's happening around me, because I do feel like, our minority brothers and sisters for decades have been complaining about the system.
Right.
Right? Well, now that I get to see it up close and personal, I see kind of how it works.
Right.
If I was to offer one major change, but it's a singular change, to the way our judicial system works and the way the adversarial system works, I would say this. Currently, as it stands today, the prosecution has an absolute duty to disclose all discovery, including any discovery or information they have that might be exonerating to the defendant. However, the prosecution does not present that to the judge or to the jury. It's the duty of the defendant to be able to present that to the jury or the judge. However, there's a maximum of law that says that the position of the defendant is preferred, and another maximum of law says the position of the defendant is preferred, but the defendant can become the plaintiff by virtue of his pleading. And pleading is a synonym for arguing, rebuttal, counter-argument, counter-statement. So when you put the burden on the defendant to make a counter-statement, to make a counter-argument, he becomes an accuser. He becomes no different than the plaintiff, the prosecutor. You just have two prosecutors, two plaintiffs arguing in front of the judge. I believe that the way our system should work, if the government is pressing criminal charges, or civil, I guess, in any case where it's an adversarial case, the prosecution should have not only an absolute duty to disclose exonerating information to the defendant, they should have an absolute duty to disclose it before the judge and before the jury as well. In cases where there's true guilt, a true crime has occurred, and I'm not making a statement specifically about my case, but in cases where a true crime has occurred, there will not be exonerating evidence sufficient to be able to exonerate a person who actually committed the crime. If you pulled the trigger, shot the person, et cetera, there should be sufficient evidence to prove that crime. However, if it's subterfuge, if it's a nebulous type thing, then there's often going to be exonerating evidence. And the reality is, when there's exonerating evidence present, it usually means there's lack of, criminal intent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is the one thing that I would say, if we were to change the way our system works and the way our laws work, having seen it up close and personal, had the prosecution chosen to, for example, play my podcast, play the videos in their full context, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, there might have been a exonerating moment. I'm not saying there was, I'm not making any claims or anything like that, right? I'm just saying that I saw up close and personal that the prosecution had no duty to present what you and I on the street would call the truth, both sides of the story, right? And it's the nature of our system that does that. It forces defendants to become equal to their prosecutor and argue, which as a Christian, the Sermon on the Mount clearly says, agree with thine adversary quickly while on the way with him, lest he take you to the judge who delivers you to the jailer, who leaves you in jail until the debt has been paid in full. So to follow the example of my Lord and Savior, I didn't want to have to make arguments, right? And understanding how our system works and seeing the J6 prosecution specifically, I made a decision. Not for everybody. Definitely don't think that it's the right path for everybody, but in my particular situation, I felt it was the right path for me.
Right. So what's next for you then? Do you have any ideas? Wetypically, after sentencing, I think some of the guys have been hanging around there for several months even. Do you have any idea?
Sable left after a week and a half. Brandon Fellows, McAfee had a couple of guys, week and a half. Sometimes, I guess the average is like 4 to 6 weeks. Seeing a couple guys here that are like going on their, I don't know.
Did you request any particular locations to be taken?
I let the judge know that my family's moving to Iowa and somewhere near there. So
Okay.
that was up to them. The judge can make a recommendation.
And he likely will.
I'm
He likely will make that recommendation, I think, because you have that relationship with him, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. The ideal facility would be the one in South Dakota. That's the closest to where the family's moving. But again, we're in this, and
You have 1 minute remaining.
and ultimately, I am really grateful for having had this experience. You can't be a man on the inside and see what you've seen until you've done it. And I think the perils that our country face force us to do a little bit more than just vote and hope. We're going to have to speak the truth. We're going to have to live through some things, and it's important. And I'll just play my part. I don't vision myself very special or grand, but
Well, you are the man in the arena. Thank you for that.
man in the arena. Yeah, I know who I am, and so I'll just continue to be who I am. That's all there is to it. I would like to ask this though. My family definitely, eventually I'm going to disappear into the BOP. If you'd like to help them or honor them in any way, I greatly appreciate it. You can do that at getsitgo.com/John Attack is family help. And, they're going to be facing a long time without their dad and income earner. So I appreciate anything that can be done for them.
All right. Thank you so much, Taylor.
Thank you.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll talk again next week.
All right.
Keep
Look forward to
strong.
it.
Just keep strong.
Thank you for using Global Telink.
Wow. Every time he is something else, that's for sure.
He always, I'd be bawling, sometimes he does, he breaks down, but,
Taylor Jonatakis, I turned that up really loud again now. He was talking quietly. I don't know why. He must have been somewhere in a quiet area. But yeah, so Taylor was sentenced to how many months?
87 months.
87 months.
On April 3rd.
On April 3rd, just this week.
They all get credit. People keep asking about that, but they all
I
get
was
credit.
just looking for the number.
Oh, okay.
Well, he's been in there 3 years, so he's gonna get credit for 36.
All right, before anybody else calls in, I want to just mention a couple of things. First of all,
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hey there, Jane. Hey, Gina. Hey, Annette. Thank you for joining us, and please pass this around to everyone. As always, we try to put up things of interest. This is go to Stop Hate, and I believe it's called the Real J6, And it's an hour, a little over an hour video that really goes through everything. So go to stophate.com and find that video. It's really one of the most comprehensive stories put together, and it tells it like nothing else.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from
James Grant.
Okay.
an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is $16.29. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hey,
James.
James.
James. So
Thanks, guys. How's it going?
you made the news today.
I did.
Yeah.
How did I make the news?
Gateway Pundit. They wrote up.
All right. Yeah. No, I got published. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It says that you destroyed the prosecution's conviction rate by winning a couple.
I did. I don't. I hope I did, but I don't know how that works. I don't think I did actually, because I think if they get one charge out of 15, they still count that as a win, if I'm not mistaken.
On their books, yes, but you know if you got it, somebody had to say innocent on the ones that you weren't convicted of, right? They didn't just toss those charges, did they?
On the four, I was found not guilty.
Yeah, exactly. You were found not guilty, so you were prosecuted and found not guilty. Yes, there were other
Right?
charges.
Yeah. No.
So you won those. You won those.
Yeah. Yeah. I was acquitted on 4 out of 9.
And I really like
yeah,
the one.
on the
I like the
article,
111B. That point there, I think that one's going to go away.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, my lawyer will kill me for talking about it, but you know, it's in the article, and but yeah, I mean, we hope that that's going to be overturned on appeal. And yeah, I'm really hopeful, and I'm even more hopeful on the 1512, which I think is just being used wrong. I mean, the charge isn't for that, and I think it's telling that it's not used like that for anyone else. And I don't think any protesters of any group should be charged with trying to a 20-year felony for trying to obstruct an official proceeding when they're protesting. It's not a charge for protesting, and it opens up a really bad can of worms that neither side is going to want to have used, because it almost, it's going to destroy the First Amendment, I think. I mean, you can't protest if you're worried that you're going to get prosecuted for a 20-year felony.
Right.
It's kind of what it does,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, any federal function you would really be scared to go to and be scared to protest.
Right.
So, So it's the same way. Someone else was saying that they've done this. I mean, you might know, Tom, but they use the fact that they use pictures of guns, I guess, against them, but like legal guns, which, isn't that kind of an infringement on the Second Amendment? Because you are infringing it, because you're basically saying, if you have it, we're going to use it against you, and maybe someone else needs that, and they say, boy, maybe I shouldn't own a gun, because some of the drawbacks are this could be used against me in a criminal proceeding to make me, if it was an illegal gun, I could understand that, but, a legally owned firearm or something, but, that is kind of, we were talking about that, but I feel like that is almost a little bit of an infringement.
It sounds like it too. I mean, I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but the number of guns owned in the United States is a crazy high number. So it kind of works against itself there. Yeah. Hey, so you talked about 1512C. That's on April 16th at the Supreme Court, man. I'm going to go. So definitely.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So that's
Is
coming.
it that soon?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, the hearing is that soon. They'll rule.
wow.
They'll rule before June, I believe. I've been told, but April 16th is when they will have the hearing, 10 a.m. Fisher.
Oh, what day of the week is that?
Tuesday, April 16th. Tuesday, April 16th.
Oh man, it's gonna be a good. Yeah, I'll definitely talk to you Friday. Hopefully, I hear something before that. But
Yeah, I'll be real excited to hear something about that. It's a big one.
It is. It's exciting. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this, and I know 300 other people, including President Trump, are interested to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm in good company with that, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens to 1512. And I don't know what they would do if they overturned it, because a lot of people are, were sentenced just on that. I don't know if the grounds change, I guess they could give a specific ruling, but, I'm hoping, I only went inside the building, really, but the judge also used, every time I talk to you guys, I wander the top row, but also, Doug Wyatt is also wandering the top row, and we keep meeting, like, around corners, and, like, almost running into each other, so I'm gonna take another pass here, but,
So you're you're walking and
they're-
talking? Is that what you're saying? You're walking and talking?
oh, yeah, wandering, always, every time. It helps me think, helps get the blood flowing.
Gotcha.
But, I was saying the 1512. So, yeah, I'm hoping they're going to rule in the way that trespassing essentially is not a 1512. And, the only thing that they in my case, they tied the fact that I sent 2 Georgia state senators emails that said, we saw the fraud, whatever, decertified. So I sent emails like that. So they used that combined with the fact that I went inside the building, I guess, was used to convict me, I guess, on the 1512. So I'm hopeful whatever ruling that they do give, has to, clarifies that. And I think they're going to try to clarify, the statute for 1512 says, whoever so obstructs an official proceeding, and I think they use the word judicial, because there's some controversy over that. Which actually, this is also very important because it's my second biggest charge, the 1512. So, and actually, beating this charge would put me at a 5 out of 9. So at that point, I would have beaten most of my charges. So while 4 out of 9 is great, 5 out of 9 would be nice to have a majority there.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they're going to, come with some kind of ruling that says, it just clarifies, what my lawyer told me is they're going to go after the word corruptly, and also the word, they're going to clarify, I guess, the word corruptly, and the word otherwise. So, I don't know, he said in most legal senses the word otherwise doesn't, so I guess they're interpreting it, the prosecution, that the word otherwise, like whoever, the statute reads, whoever destroys documents, alters this, and whatever else, or otherwise. So there's a couple things like that, commits false paperwork, destroys documents, or something like that, or otherwise. And the prosecution is interpreting that to mean that it expands it. It expands the definition.
Right.
So,
James,
and,
can I read?
my lawyer, yeah.
Can I read it to you? I've got.
Please.
I've got got it right here. I've got the Congress. The question presented: Congress added Section 1512C to the witness, victim, or informant tampering statute to target corporate fraud and abuse involving evidence spoliation that obstructs congressional inquiries and investigations. Paragraph C1 thus punishes anyone who alters, destroys, mutilates, or conceals evidence in paragraph C2's residual clause, that prohibition by otherwise obstructing, influencing, or impeding official proceedings. But the D.C. Circuit Court construed the residual clause in C2 as divorced both from Congress's purpose and from paragraph C1, thus transforming this residual clause into a novel, omnibus obstruction offense with breathtaking reach. The question here is, does this unprecedented reading of subsection C2 contravene the statute's text, history, and legislative purpose, as well as interpretive canons and this court's precedent on the construction of federal criminal statutes? That's it.
Well, I like whoever wrote that. I think they're right. It's being used.
I figured you'd appreciate it with your law background. So this is big stuff, man.
So
it is, and it's my second biggest charge. It's a 20-year max, just like the 111B I've been charged with. So man, I got my new pass. I kind of ceded one of the passes to Doug, and then he expanded his pass to take up the whole top row. So I'm not thrilled about that. Now I'm just gonna walk the whole thing, and we'll only need one.
But yeah, so it's my second biggest charge, and I think it also enhances my, at another level, and I'm at level 26, but every level you can get off is at least 6 to 8 months on the guidelines. And yeah, it would be just huge to get it off, but I just think they have to, they got to interpret it a different way. My lawyer thinks that they shouldn't expand the word otherwise. And, they should be specific and say, it's just, yeah, like the guy said, it's been used in an unprecedented way. And, I really hope the Supreme Court does the right thing, trespassing, and it's a really dangerous charge to the First Amendment. I mean,
It is.
people will be scared to protest, but it seems to not be, really used on anyone. I guess those the pro-Palestinian protesters went inside the Capitol building, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that, they're not being charged with it. And I mean, either the laws apply to everyone or they don't. And, not that I don't want this to be used against me, and, not that I'm not remorseful for whatever happened, but I still to this day will always believe the law should apply to everyone. So,
Equally. Equally.
And yeah, I don't think that law jives with the American way and the First Amendment. So, but yeah, the article, yeah, it's great to be out, and I made sure to, be as classy as I could in the article. So I actually wasn't expecting to get it published. I had sent it out really months ago. In February, I wrote it up, and I was not expecting it to get published at this time, but it did. So it's great. And I read all my articles like the judge is going to see it, and so I'm sure they will. Whether they say so or not, I do believe they see and possibly hear everything. So yeah, I write with that intent and try to be careful about things. So
where else is it
and,
available?
I actually went down to the.
Where else is it available besides Gateway Pundit? Where else is it published?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there was like one Substack, Jen said, but I don't know what that means in a bigger thing. But no, I just think like everything is probably seen on some level that it's still monitored. That we're so monitored that it's got to be seen on some level.
Right.
But I went down to the courtroom yesterday on Thursday, and I had to get my PSR done, so they had to ask me a bunch of questions about my life and everything. And the person who does that is a federal probation officer, which is ironic because that's what my dad used to do before he retired for like 30 years. But yeah, no, anytime you go down to that dungeon, Tom, it's just hell. I mean, you get shackled to go down there. I still got marks on my arms. I'm shackled the whole time. It's freezing in there. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this, but it is literally to the point where people who are sentenced, you can see years of their life, are like, a guy got sentenced to 87 months by Judge Cobb, and he was thrilled about it. I mean, the guidelines were 180. The probation officer asked for like 180, he said. They gave him 87, but it's funny because originally talking to him, when he found out I was a January 6er, it was me and about 7 other people in there, and when he heard I was a January 6er, he started like, oh, Trump this, Trump that. He said there was going to be a bloodbath and you'd go to jail for saying something. Like, okay, well, the legal system is definitely not giving him any breaks, so first of all. But before I had to start in on him and defend myself, like everyone else, all the other inmates were like, no, we met with Trump, man. He got the first step back and all this, and they all black inmates, which is just, yeah, it's crazy. And it's really been like that the entire time I've been in jail. And I always say, if you have an election from the jail, Trump would win in a landslide. But I didn't even have to, before I even had to say anything, the other inmates had my back and said that, and it's amazing. And as I talked to the guy, so he went in and he got sentenced, and when he came back, I think he was happy and got released. And then I was talking to him, and he was talking about the First Step Act, and when he heard about it, he was unaware of it. And when he heard about it, he said, oh, how much time is this? And I was doing the math in my head, and he was asking me to okay, so how much?
You have 1 minute remaining.
Wow, that was a really fast 15 minutes. But long story short, I had turned him by the end of it. He was asking me to, like I said, to do the math on his time, and I told him, like, yeah, this, what about the cop that died? Who got a lot of time for that? I said, well, he died the next day, and the only people that died that day were the 4 protesters. He goes, 4 people died. I didn't know that. So yeah, just changing one mind at a time. But by the end of it, I really do think I changed his mind, and it was just, it was amazing, and it does feel different than 2020. I think we got a different feel in the air. I think it's inevitable, Tom.
Yeah.
So before I get cut off, that was interesting.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
yeah.
Stay positive, James. Good
But,
to hear from
yeah.
you, man. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed. It's going to be an interesting April. The rest of the year is going to be interesting, but thank you guys. God bless. Love y'all.
God bless you too.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Somebody else was trying to call in. So that was James Grant. It is day 1085. I'm sorry, 1185. 1185. It is April 5th, 2024. And
Remember that for next week.
multiple calls here at once. Missed calls. Oh, hey, Jim Anderson is watching. Good to see you, Jim. Yeah, Jim missed it that I had my beard. You remember it? It was under here.
Yeah,
You guys
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
notice I got rid of it. I had to wait till my
I
beard
noticed
was-
you lost the facial fungus a little bit.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
lost a pound.
Yeah, lost it a little bit. But anyway, again, thanks everybody for joining us. And wow, these guys just blow me away every time. I mean, we talk about a lot of times the same thing, but every time there's a little different nuance to it. And he was saying he went down to get what for his 3-letter
The PSR?
PSR. What's the PSR? Do you guys know what that is?
I should know this.
Hey, that's the ring of
Hello, this is a prepaid call from
All right.
An inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility.
To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is $14.61. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. Is that Scooter?
No, this is David. I am currently using Scooter's tablet right now.
All right.
Because, I don't know, just call time, difficulties, all that. And, how are you guys doing today?
Doing good. Is that David Geetson?
Yes, David Geekson.
All right.
And, I don't have much to talk about today, but, I would like to thank Lily Ann for her nice visit today, and she also sent a very nice letter. And there was also another very nice letter from someone who anonymously signed it, a praying patriot. I don't know who that was, but thank you for the letter. I have my sentencing coming up on April 12th, and because you guys are the legal experts with January 6 cases, I wanted to run some legal strategies by you guys instead of my defense lawyers. It seems like a wise thing to do. So tell me if any of these strategies sound good to you. Is that all right?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure, go ahead, but advise, we are not attorneys.
All right, so the first strategy, okay? Now, just bear with me. You ever played like a NES game and you get a number too high and it goes back down to 0? What if I start confessing to crimes during my sentencing that I had nothing to do with? Like the Great Chicago Fire was not caused by any cow. I kicked over the lantern. That facial disfigurement on the Sphinx, I knows what happened. I think that when I was driving up to D.C., I think I may have hit a few endangered species of bugs with my car. I don't know. Second legal strategy I'm thinking of. I'll look back at the gallery. I'm going to wink and say, I got this one from a Yankee in King Arthur's court, and try to dunk in the sky. Unfortunately, the eclipse will be on the 8th, so unless the eclipse lasts for 4 days and don't notice it for 3, I don't think that strategy is going to work.
Oh no, that's funny. That's funny.
Okay, how about this last strategy? Okay, How about, do you think groveling is going to work at the stage? I mean, I'm kind of late in this. And I've been saying I'm proud of everything I've done up to this point. But what if I try changing sides at like the 11th hour and be like, okay, look, I admit it. And Biden's just the best president. He's just the most popular, the most elite districts, and he got 1 billion votes.
Well, you know, that one actually might hold some water because I understand that they like people that suck up a lot.
Oh, okay, very good, very good. See, this is why I trust you guys. This is why I trust you guys. You know, maybe I should try groveling to you guys as well. You're the best radio show, best legal advice.
That's excellent. That's absolutely excellent.
Yeah, well, I think you can certainly compliment the judge on his or her attire that day, you know, especially the black.
I mean, yeah. Oh, black again today. You know, sticking with old reliable.
The same with the
It's
gallery.
like,
all the law students from Georgetown and their black outfits as well, you know. So.
Right. Should I refer to them as the judge's children? You know, like, do you think that's wise to do? I see your kids are here. They're all dressed in black.
Exactly. There you go. I love it.
Wait a minute. You're telling me there's law students just sitting in a gallery for free? Can I ask them questions, like, in the middle of the case? Is that allowed?
I think if you pay
Or is that, like, considered cheating? Is that considered, like, cheating on the test or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ironic, and I love that. You know.
No, that's great. I'm glad you put some thought into this. I think it's going to be successful no matter which one you choose. So that's.
But
great.
I like the students.
Yeah.
The law students.
Maybe I should put a mixture of all the strategies together and just hope for the best, you know? Like, say that the solar eclipse is some sort of a legal act that will guarantee the successful defrauding of the 2024 election. I think it might just work.
Well, don't forget to put the comet in there as well. That's another function of that eclipse that you got to mention that too, the comet.
Yes. I got to rope in every topical event I can. That way, it will be unintelligible 1 week later.
See, you're already starting to figure out how they do things in Biden world.
What about earthquakes? We could throw in a couple earthquakes too.
Oh, throw in a couple what?
Earthquakes.
Yeah, I hear that New York had
earthquakes.
Yeah.
Yes, do you think if I just pretend to shake, do you think that'll be sufficient? Like, whoa, do you guys do it? And because the law students, think about it, they're law students in the gallery. They're required to lie if they're going to be lawyers. So of course they'll play along with it.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
Oh,
that's absolutely amazing.
Shake and study.
I'm speechless here.
Yeah. So what time on the 12th? Because I'm planning to be up there on the 12th.
I don't remember at this particular second. I believe it's sometime around like 10 a.m. or something like that. Don't hold me to that. I will get back to you on that if I can.
I think it's 12:30.
I need to make a call. I need to make a call on that tonight about that.
I think it's 12:30.
We'll look it up.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think then we might be able to be there for that. So
yes. Well, now they're going to tell you to sit in the gallery, but they're trying to trick you. Sit in the plaintiff chair, or excuse me, the defendant chair. You know what I mean? And I'll sit in the gallery for you.
Take one for the team, man.
Well, I'll wear my best orange suit that day, and that's what I'll do then for that. So you'll be able to know who it is.
Awesome.
Yeah. I didn't fully catch that, but I'm nodding over here because I was walking by a fan when you said that.
Oh yeah, I'll wear my orange blazer so you'll know.
Oh, orange blazer.
This is awesome, man.
All right. I'm gonna quit wasting your guys' time. I'm gonna get Miller on here really soon, and hopefully Miller won't be stealing my ideas. If you hear him steal even one idea, tell him I'm going to take him to court for plagiarism.
There you go.
All right, sounds good. Great.
Anyway, you guys have a good day.
We'll see
you
you.
guys have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Oh, that was funny. He's got to write that stuff down. He's got to sit down and write the story together. He's got an outline for a phenomenal story right there.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Wow.
Who's-
So you confirmed it. His sentencing is April 12th at 12:30.
Heather says the PSR is pre-sentencing report.
Oh, thank you, Heather.
Thanks.
Thank you, Heather.
No, this is great because I'm going to do the Supreme Court SCOTUS decision at 10 a.m. That session is 2 hours, and whether it takes 2 hours or not, but that leaves time to get over to the courthouse and be there for his. So that's fantastic. Are there any other sentences coming up this week? Next week, I mean, did you know of?
Yeah. It's my page. Okay, we have Zachary Alam. So David Geetson is April 12th at 12:30 p.m. Zachary Alam is April 19th at 10 a.m. Andrew Taki is April 24th at 2 p.m. And then we go into May, it's John George Todd is May 10th at 9:30, and then Chris Quadlin, May 17th at 2 p.m.
Awesome, thank you, Cheryl. But nothing next week that you know of?
Nope,
Nope. All right.
April 12th.
All right.
We'll schedule here, I can look.
For anyone that joined late, I'm wearing my VAMFA shirt, Virginia Medical Freedom Alliance. And the reason is I'm giving a shout out to Doris at VAMFA, who leads the wireless radiation team. And we had a great meeting last night at the boards of supervisors, combined boards of supervisors and the other county boards regarding smart meters and questioned Dominion, and it was fantastic. Doris, you did a great job. VAMFA, you did proud for VAMFA, and we hope it's going to make a difference out here. So, just again, shout out to Doris.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from
Did you hear it?
Scott Miller.
An inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility.
To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up, or your current balance is $13.71. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Scott,
Hello.
Scott, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for the little mini pep rally there. I wasn't expecting that.
Hey, yeah, you know what? I just got to tell you something. I know you're from the Baltimore area, and a very good friend of mine, actually my best man, was from Baltimore. His name was Scott, and you guys have a very similar intonation, and just your voices are very similar, man. So you sound just like him.
Huh. Wow. So hey, so you know I'm the real deal then. You know I'm not a faker.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Did we talk
Well,
about
so your best?
Did we talk about the
No,
bridge?
go ahead.
Did we talk about the bridge collapse? I don't think I've spoken to you since that happened. The Key Bridge.
Yeah, no, you guys haven't. Yeah, that was last week. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. I was, when that went down, I actually was one of the first people in my family to know about it because I actually, for whatever reason, I couldn't sleep that night. So I just happened to click on my little portable radio at around 3 a.m. and I had it tuned to a talk radio station, and they just happened to be talking about it right then and there, and they start, I hear, so it looks like this cargo ship, it kind of collides with the bridge, and then the next thing you see, the bridge falls. And I'm thinking, this is probably, in
the Middle East or Ukraine or something where this bridge collapse happens. And then he says the Francis Scott Key Bridge has collapsed completely. And I was like, wait a second. That's the bridge from back in Baltimore. I was like, no way. And yeah, sure enough. So yeah, I was shocked. Yeah, I mean, my family, you know, we've all probably been over that bridge like hundreds of times. Kind of sad to, you know, to see something like that go down, and I don't know, just especially just how it just went in like 2 seconds, you know, just
I know.
that boat just kind of, you know, knocked into it, and then, like 2 seconds later, the whole thing is in the water. So yeah, a little bit, you know, sad, a little bit surprising, but at the same time, like, I feel like so many crazy things have happened in the last several years that I'm just kind of jaded to it all at this point.
Right.
But yeah, you know, I was talking to my sister yesterday, and that, you know, that bridge was a part of her daily commute, so now she has to drive through the city and everything, and it's definitely a big deal. So, you know, I definitely hope Baltimore can figure out some temporary solutions until they're able to get a new bridge built, because that's a big deal. So
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
Biden's,
pretty crazy stuff.
Biden's press secretary couldn't even get the name of the bridge right. She was saying the Francis Scott King, K-I-N-G bridge.
Yeah, I think I heard that. Yeah, good old King, man. Yeah, what's with this administration and getting the names mixed up? I mean, first we had Lincoln Riley, and now Francis Scott King. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, geez. Like, you guys not rehearsed anything? Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, so unprofessional, right?
That's right.
Well, yeah, and that's the way Jean-Pierre is unprofessional. She lies really well. No, she doesn't. Everybody sees it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody sees it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It's opposite world. Opposite.
But then today, Joe Biden was finally on the scene for the first time. 11 days. Took him a year to get to Palestine.
Oh, yeah.
Took him a year to get to Palestine,
That's
Ohio.
right.
But 11 days after the bridge collapsed, he's out there saying, yeah, the federal government is going to pay for this thing completely.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is illegal. He can't really do that.
I think I heard today that
Oh, wow.
the Corps of Engineers or whoever, there's multiple entities working on this, and I've heard there's an argument for having, I don't remember what they call it, but a special coordinator to come in, because there's so many complex different organizations working on this thing. But they're talking about, you know, not the channel's not even open yet, or it's just got open today, or it's about to open. So
Well, they've got 2 channels that they said they opened a few days ago, and then they come back and kind of backpedal a little bit and say, yeah, but we got these 2 channels, but they're mostly for the people that are working on the problem.
not for
Not for
ships.
shipping.
Wow.
Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah, they're smaller. They're only like 12 feet deep or something. So they're not deep enough for, like, you know, full size cargo or cruise ships to go through. Just for the
right.
work craft. Yeah.
And I was hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that bridge is. Yeah.
I was hearing that the structure, the superstructure of the bridge, that you know, it hit the bottom of the river there, but that's not the end of the story, because it's so heavy, it drove those girders down into the bottom of the river, and they're having a hell of a time figuring out where to cut, where to latch onto to pull stuff up.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hazardous for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sinking into the mud. Yeah. Definitely crazy. I mean, shout out to all the first responders, all the Coast Guard, the police, the Baltimore City, Anne Arundel County, everybody that was doing mutual aid for that initial emergency. Shout out to all those people, all those guys that, I mean, did that extremely dangerous work of going into this giant river in the middle of the night and doing these rescue operations. Shout out to them. But yeah, it's definitely no small task.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah, and, you know, I actually, I have some experience being a first responder myself, and it's definitely cool when you get to do the stuff that you've been trained to do, and you get to go on that 911 call, or you go run into that burning building, and you're like, yes, I'm finally doing that heroic stuff. But it is at the same time scary, and
definitely, I mean, that setting was dangerous. I've never been involved in like water rescue type stuff, but that's definitely a high level of danger there. So kudos to all those people. I mean, I think it's obviously a miracle that only 6 lives were lost.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's happened in the middle of the night, so that's really great.
Yeah, if it would have happened at 7 o'clock in the morning, there would have been hundreds of people dead.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, because that traffic could have been backed up, and they might have tried to shut traffic down. But people around Baltimore, some of us on the roads, man, on that morning commute, some of them are crazy, so they might have just charged ahead and said, "I'll get through that bridge right now," and they might have just fallen off the bridge. But yeah. So that's wild. And actually, I'm glad you brought that whole thing up because that was just one of the crazy events that we've seen happen this year, and it actually kind of inspired me to get this little game going that I started drafting up the other night when I was up in my cell late at night, and it's 2024 bingo because I just feel like every week or so something crazy happens, and I'm like, dang, that was not on my 2024 bingo card. And then I realized, wait, I don't have an official 2024 bingo card, so I got to make one. So I went ahead and started jotting down. I drew a little grid, a little 5x5 grid, and I started filling in some possible events that might go down this year. A lot of geopolitical stuff like China invades Taiwan, Trump gets reelected, Texas secedes, that kind of thing. But there's some other wild card things out there like. Taylor Swift dropping a rap album could happen. Who knows? Haitian gangs freeing all the J6ers from jail. That would be pretty wild. I mean, that's on my bingo. That's on my 2024 bingo card. I hope that square gets filled. And then I also have this other one. Oh wait, that can't be right. Oh, okay. Well, it says Christopher Quagland gets released from jail. All charges against him dropped, and he gets an official apology letter from the government. That's on my 2024 bingo card. I don't know if that one's going to happen, but it's on my personal 2024 bingo card.
That's hilarious.
And of course, World War III is in the middle spot. So, yeah. So if anybody out there wants a official 2024 bingo card, write me a letter, and I will go ahead and draft up your card, and you can play 2024 bingo with me by mail. Let's see who gets bingo first.
This is Cheryl Johnson. I'm going to send my letter in soon. So you should have gotten one.
All right, excellent. Okay, yeah, I did get something from you a couple weeks ago, Ms. Johnson, and thank you for that. I saw your notes.
Did you get the corned beef recipe?
Yes, the corned beef recipe. Yeah. I told my wife about that. Actually, one of the other supporters asked for my wife's shepherd pie recipe. I still have to try and get that to her. But yeah.
Make your own cookbook.
I mean, we kind of like, in our house, me and my wife are kind of, we've only been living together for a couple of years, and we only just moved into a house together back in 21. So, we're totally, new to like building a home together, but basically it's just like anytime she wants me to cook, she has to like print out the recipe on paper, and then, I cook it up, and then it just gets thrown into a drawer. So now we have like a drawer with like, 40 pages of like recipes. So now I understand why people used to have these things called cookbooks. Hopefully someday we'll have one.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm not really good at following directions. So I just kind of get in there and I just kind of follow my own, follow the wind of whatever I'm feeling at the time. Especially if it's something I've made before, I'll get creative. Especially if there happens to be like a bottle of wine open for cooking, that obviously helps with the creativity in the kitchen. But my wife is a very big, she's definitely like a rule person. She follows the specific details, so she's a lot more consistent. I'm a little bit more spontaneous, improvisational with it, but it comes together well. We make a good pair, and I can't wait to go home and eat some more of her delicious cooking. Shout out
to my wife. She's amazing in the kitchen.
Yeah, well, great. How's she doing, man, with the pregnancy? How's it coming along?
Oh, yeah. Actually, that was another thing I wanted to tell you guys. So I was actually kind of semi-joking around with the DC Vigil folks last night because Sherry asked me, she said, hey, we want to see that baby bump because my wife has come to the jail, I want to say 3 times now, and I have not seen that bump yet, and she's over 4 months pregnant. So she was here a week ago, and so Sherry was like, when is that baby bump going to show itself? And I said, you know, that's a good point, and I'm starting to think that she might be faking the pregnancy. So yeah, we kind of speculated about that on the phone last night about, you know, what kind of motive my wife might have for faking this pregnancy because, you know, there's just no visible signs right now. But today, actually, just this morning, she did produce photographic evidence of a baby bump. It came through on my tablet. It got approved. So I can say that there is somewhat of a bump there.
Oh,
so so I believe that she's not faking it. So we're good there, and she's doing pretty well. You know, she's just holding down the fort, running her business, and, you know, paying the bills and looking after the dog and the chickens, and just keeping it together. Obviously, we miss each other like crazy, you know, and you know, I keep telling her that, you know, every day that goes by is another day closer to us, you know, finally being reunited. You know, we don't know when that day's going to come, but it will come eventually. And you know, once this is all over with, we'll be able to kind of look back on this time period as, you know, something that was certainly difficult, but brought us even closer together and, you know, just helped us build an even stronger relationship. So,
Are you going to want to know if it's a boy or a girl? Are you going to want to know if it's a boy or a girl?
That's another. Yeah, so my wife knows, and I don't.
You have 1 minute remaining.
You got 1 minute to tell us.
Yeah.
He doesn't know.
Well, so I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm probably going to find out soon. But stay tuned about that, guys. There may or may not be some kind of gender reveal event happening here in the pod. But yeah, so for as far as right now, I don't know.
Well, get that on your
get
that on your bingo card, right?
Say again?
Put it on your bingo card.
Oh, yeah, put it on my bingo card. Yeah, definitely.
Sounds like you got a Christmas baby coming.
Is she wearing a pink or a blue? You got to see what she's wearing. She'll give you hints. No. She's doing August.
Yeah, it's
she's doing August.
She's doing August. Yep. So, well, anyway, guys, this is about to cut off. So it's been great talking to you all. Thank you all for your support. Thank you to the greater community for.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
She's doing August.
I got that.
Uh-huh.
Scott Miller.
You know, we were talking about last night of having a baby shower. First Gulag baby shower.
Who's that now?
In DC.
Oh, yeah.
Boy or girl? Oh, it's quiet.
Yeah. Well, it does get quiet. I mean, every one of those is different. Taylor was very quiet.
Yeah.
You can hardly hear him, but these guys are really, I don't know what.
I just got reminded, I'm looking at my birthday list here, and I got a text Kyle Young, his birthday's today.
Oh, really?
Happy birthday.
Wow, yeah, Kyle Young, cool. Where's Kyle?
He is, where is he? He's in Arizona, AR. Forest City, Arkansas, I guess. AR is Arizona or Arkansas?
Hey there, Time to Save Humanity. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, cool. Good to see you.
Arizona.
No, Arizona's AZ. Sorry.
What's AR? Arizona?
I think it's Arkansas.
Arkansas?
Doris, this is for you. I've shouted your name out at least twice now, and I'm wearing this in honor of you for VAMFA, Virginia Medical Freedom Alliance.
Yay!
So as usual, we get a lot of calls. I mean, that's great. That's 5. We probably have time for another one before we get, it's another, 12 minutes. So, and everybody else who's listening, join us, stay with us till 9 o'clock. We get to sing the national anthem with people down in the DC Gulag. It's a special event. I love it. Look forward to that every Friday night. And go ahead and tell them what you said about the change in the lineup now with that.
Last night was the first night without Jeffrey Sable doing his 1 minute countdown, and Jonathan Pollock did it with everyone, and it was a little different, but we'll see how it goes tonight. If we get a little bit clearer.
But they started early.
They started earlier before 9. They kind of didn't have it down pat, but we'll see.
All right, well, hey, why don't we take this long? I'm going to go ahead and read the names of the approximately, I guess it's 56 people that I have on this list. These are the individuals that went through the North Neck Regional Jail because of the January 6th setup. Howard Adams, Zach Alam, Eric Beauchesne, Tim Boehner, Nick Brockhoff, Jeffrey Brown, Mason Corson, Lucas Denny, Israel Easterday, Brandon Fellows, Todd Gardner, James Grant, Matthew Green, Kenneth Harrelson, Albuquerque Head, Brian Jackson, Adam Jackson, Justin Jersey, David Judd, Cash Kelly, Hosea Kenyon, Nick Lagerand, Samuel Lazar, Marcus Malley, Mark Mazza, Patrick McCoy, Jonathan Mellis, Matthew Miller, Robert Morse, John Munifo, Daryl Neely, Ethan Nordine, William Norwood, Michael Perkins, Dominic Pizzola, Mark Ponder, Ronnie Presley, Mahila Pryor, Chris Quaglin, Barry Ramey, Zach Reel, William Reed, Howard Richardson, Thomas Robertson, Daniel Rodriguez, Jeffrey Sable, Ryan Samsel, Ron Sandlin, Troy Sargent, Jeffrey Sills, Andrew Taki, Enrique Tario, Curtis Tate, Ricky Wilden, Shane Woods, and Kyle Young.
Jeffrey Sills' birthday is April 17th, so we got to remember that.
Yeah, that's especially important.
David Lee's that. It's Wednesday. 2 more weeks.
I'm just going to go backwards a little bit on some of the stuff I talked about before. Again, I'm trying to remind everybody the Supreme Court case of the 1512C charges is on April 16th. That is Fisher versus United States, Tuesday, April 16th at 10 a.m. That afternoon, we mentioned that David Geetson's sentencing is April 12th at 12:30. So perfect day, folks, to get in your car, drive up to DC. If you don't go into the Supreme Court, stand outside the Supreme Court, support these men. Have a big showing. I was there a week ago, and it was the FDA case with the the abortion pill, and they had crowds and throngs of people that wanted to support the notion of abortion. And let's turn the tide here on this one. Let's get a bunch of people out there and take part in that, and then come on over to the courthouse. It's just a few blocks away, and go on in there and go through the metal detector. Very simple, easy to get into. Just go and sit down in the courtroom, find the courtroom, and go sit down and watch the events. It's important to be there to support these guys. They know the difference when there's nobody in the back of that room, and they know the difference when there's a lot of people back there that are there to support them. Some don't look, some don't even bother. They're so focused on what's going on. Other ones, they are interactive, but it's a big deal to show their support, and it's history in the making. There's over 1,350 people who have been arrested for January 6th at this point. I think I said earlier the number was 1,353. That's as of today. There were 6 last week. I'm going to list their names again. Luke Almond, 28 years old, from Texas. Leah Green from Texas. Andrew Miller from Ohio. Charles Lee Roy Mozingo III from Washington. Zach Rash from Utah. Timothy Rowbottom from Harrisburg, PA. And Steve Saxionis from Cedar Hill, Texas. So, what's that? 1 a day, roughly, In February, March, we had a couple a day. There were some heavy weeks. There was 20 in 1 week, I believe. So, and again, if anybody doesn't realize what the charges are, go look it up on NPR. Just go and put that in your search engine. It's a great place to look. You can go to Stop Hate. You can go to any number of them. Patriot Mail Project. You can get these updates. But NPR updates their list, and it is slanted. The language that they use in the article is a bit slanted, but go past that, because they've got really good data on what's happening when new people are arrested. And then they update that when they go through hearings, or when they go through trial, or go through sentencing. So they update this whole thing. Once they've gone and sentenced, they don't track them after that. So that's up to us to make sure we follow them as they go through the Bureau of Prisons. But it's a great place to just look and learn. And oftentimes there's photos of the individuals that you can see them. You can certainly look up their charges. You can know a little bit about their history. Everybody ought to be aware of Rebecca Lavrens, who at the time of January 6th was 70 years old, from Peyton, Colorado, and her charges were the 4 most common: entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly disruptive conduct in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly conduct in a Capitol building, parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building. She was in the Capitol. She came in from the east side, did not break any doors or break in, walked into the building, was there all of 10 minutes. She had a trial by jury just this past week, and she was convicted on all 4 charges. So she is making history because we talked about it before. She's essentially a trailblazer, not only because she's one of the oldest females, but also because it's very, very black and white that you can get arrested and get a sentence, and she could be put in jail for these four items that are basically misdemeanors. Crazy, crazy world.
Scary world.
So, yep, that's why we do this. We give these guys our support. And please reach out, go on these various Give, Send, Go sites, look it up, and help them out. Send a couple of bucks, anything you can, to these folks. It makes a difference to them. So, all right, I think we're almost there, aren't we?
2 minutes.
Well,
Should be getting a call. Took the call.
it kind of got messed up at DC a couple of days ago.
Did it?
They ended up singing without the J6ers, and after they sang, they called and they sang it again. So they sang it twice. So we might end up doing that.
Well, we'll just sing it on our own, then we'll do it in spirit there. Done that plenty of times.
That's what happens when you get old, you can't get up.
Well, you're working too hard in the garden.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's your text?
That's, yeah, my notification is my name.
Right.
Yes, so I know about it every time Tom texts Cheryl.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I thought it was that. Thank you, Heather.
I don't think they're gonna call us. Unless they do it right now.
Well,
Gotta update my mask.
Hey, anybody who's tuning in, sing along. Sing along. You know the words, right? It's an important deal. This is a solidarity for the people that are America's political prisoners, as it says right here behind us every Friday night. These are America's political prisoners. Detainees and now convicted and now serving time. Many of them. So, all right, we got a minute.
Gotta update my email. All right, you're in there now. Yep. Well, I guess we
Let's
go
do
down
it.
our own.
All right.
Moving the flag.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. USA, USA, USA. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in. Another great Friday night, good conversations with a lot of wonderful, amazing American patriots, and glad to know them, and glad you guys could be here, and glad everybody could tune in. Thank you so much, and we're signing off. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
so Cheryl and I sometimes discuss